All right, guys. So today we'll be doing another Persona tier list. The last two did decent. I decided we're gonna do one on Persona 5 and probably 4. And if those do too good, if those two do good, we're gonna do some more, right? But the one I got for today is Persona 5. We're gonna do the Palace tier list. Honestly, I played this game about 3 times. It's probably my least favorite Persona to replay, even though I think it has some of the best stuff in it. It's just tiring. It's really long. It's a really long game. But the criteria for this tier list, we're gonna go based off how unique it is, how engaging and fun the mechanics are. I'm gonna factor in the story and the villain a little bit because I feel like that's kind of like part of the palace, regardless. And last but not least, I'm gonna tell you based off how fun it is to replay it, right? Because I think that's a huge factor. Like some palaces kind of suck to play the second time. Like once you know what's going on, like they feel just like they dragging out. But with that being said, I'm not gonna hold the replay part too too hard on anything because like if you do just play the game one time, that could be enough for somebody. But I will factor it in. But I doubt it'd be anything where like, oh, you're going from S to B tier. It's not that big a deal to me. But you might drop a few spaces under where you probably would be initial playthrough. But let's get it started with. We're probably going chronological order. All right, so let's get it started with Kamoshida. Now, Kamoshida's palace, it's really more of a tutorial than anything. Like I feel like 90% of the palace is they're not gonna do that. 90% of the palace is you kind of being told how to play through a palace, and the rest is just kind of like you doing that, right? So with that being said, it's not necessarily the most like free palace. I don't know how to explain. Like you're not really doing too much. Like there's not like too many mechanics going on. There's really nothing, if you're being honest. It's kind of just exploring and grabbing what keys and stuff. There's some pretty basic puzzles, and I remember my first playthrough thinking like, "Oh, this is cool." I would say considering this is the palace that kind of got me hooked on it. I was invested. I hated him as a villain. He's a good villain. He's pretty evil too. And it's a good way to showcase how changing someone's heart is. So just for that, I'll probably put it top of B tier, and I think he's gonna stay there because it's not really outstanding, but it does its job. It does it pretty well, but it's not like, oh my god, I love this palace. It's just kind of whatever to me, and that's fine. That's fine. It doesn't need to be the greatest. It is the first palace. It just kind of needs to give you a basic overview. And the story with it is solid. It's a little dark, a little messed up, but it did get me invested. I want to see him go down, and I kept playing because I guarantee if it was like most of these other villains at first, like as the first villain, I don't know if I would have. Um, I don't know if I would have done it. I don't know if I would have kept playing. But with that being said, I did keep playing, and I think it's a B tier palace, and we'll move on to the next one. All right, next up we have Madarame. Now Madarame, I think as a villain, he's pretty good because he's not pure evil, but he's pretty bad. Like he does some pretty bad stuff. They even have some moments where they like show that he did care about Yusuke. Like it wasn't like Yusuke wasn't some random dude to him. But you do got to go through a social link to do that. So I can't. I guess I can't hold that against. I can't use that for the palace. In terms of mechanics, I think it's really cool to see how you can affect their perception to change how the palace is simply just by doing something in the real world that might be small, but like in the palace, it changes everything. Now, hmm, how do I put this? Now, I think gameplay wise, I find his palace slightly annoying, but it's just that. Like, I couldn't hold it against him. But in terms of mechanics and everything, I think going through the paintings was cool. The camera, was there cameras? I think there was. Uh, hmm, I can't remember. I remember you do had to like not go through those lasers and stuff, stuff like that. Like, it was a solid palace. I think it's a bit lackluster compared to what we see going on in all the other palaces. It's really cool, and I think some of the designs are really cool, like just by being in there. But I don't think it's like the strong part of the game in terms of palaces. Like I don't think the puzzles were that great. I don't think anything was necessarily that great about it. It was just all kind of solid. With that being said, though, solid is still like B tier, right? I think it's a little bit better than Kamoshida's because I feel like Kamoshida's kind of frees you up a bit. Like it's less tutorially, but it's still got a little bit of it in there. But I mess with it. I mess with it heavy. And just for that, I had to put it a little bit above Kamoshida, but I do think Kamoshida kind of clears in terms of being a better villain and stuff. But you can flip flop them. I don't really care. It's not like I don't feel very strongly about either of these two. But I guess on replay, I don't know. I guess like I think really what takes the advantage over him is replaying this can feel a lot better than this. Because it's like they're just talking to you, and they're just talking to you, and they're just talking. It's really annoying. But that's life. That's just how it is with Persona games. The first chunk of it is like a long tutorial, and you don't really see that in the next palaces because that's not what it is. But that's probably how I'll rank Madarame. Not too low, not too high, right in the middle it seems. But yeah, on to the next. Next up we have Kanashiro, right? Kanashiro. How can I put this? I think I could see how replaying or not playing. I think I could see how playing um his palace for the first time is really annoying, but I think on replay it's probably one of my favorite ones to do. I think it has a nice balance between mechanics, like with the cameras and stuff, and figuring out what the codes are, like piecing it together, along with like the actual like just sneaking around of the palace is fun. It got really cool design. I think as a villain, he's really good because he's blackmailing everybody. Like it's easy to hate him. He's a horrible person. He might be like out of all of these, he's probably like the third worst. He's pretty bad. But I think in terms of like how they like the imagery and how he views people as walking ATMs, like you only really have access to him if you have to pay him. This is that and the third. Like I think they did a really good job. I think the replayability of his palace is the most enjoyable because when you're replaying it, you can kind of speed it up because you'll kind of know things if you remember. Hmm. Or you can like if you don't care, you just look up the codes. But I think his is probably one of the more smooth replays. And honestly, I think they did a really good job all around with the palace in terms of literally everything. Like it's not necessarily the best at anything, but I do think it's good enough to be our first S tier of the entire list so far. And I think it's maybe a few when we talk to maybe I'll consider putting them higher, but I think his is a really good palace. I think his should be the blueprint. I think, and I feel like can't hold it against this one at least because it's supposed to be more simple, more tutorial like. You can kind of hold it against this one, but I think this one it did every like it ties the best parts of both of these together in a way where it's a lot more interesting because the key like grabbing a key or whatever from here it's kind of like finding the codes, but this is way more engaging. And I feel like the security, like the what the like the laser fences, cameras, like the cameras are just a little bit better in my opinion. But other than that, it's not much I really can say. I think he's a good villain. I think I don't know. He just did a really good. They just did a really good job with this. It's solid. But next up, Futaba. Now Futaba's palace. Is this in order? Yeah, it is. It is. It is. Our Futaba's palace. I think Futaba has a amazing design, amazing themes. I guess I wouldn't call her a villain, but like as a character, I think she's pretty solid. She's really good, and I think my only problem with her palace is I feel like it's really long. I don't know if it just took me long on like each time I played it. I played it 3 times, but for some reason each time I played it, it felt the longest to me other than one of the like later palaces we'll get into. But hmm, there's nothing I think that's that bad. Like everything about this palace is pretty good. I think I'm gonna put it S tier as well. Other than, well, like I said, I think the entire palace is just kind of long. I think the puzzles are really good. They're really solid. I think like just it's engaging to do like the little, what's it called, pieces, or figure out which each room is or which way you gotta go. I do think it can be really annoying on replay, which is why I probably keep it under kind of Shiro's. But I think if you're gonna go like your first playthrough, it'd probably be a little less annoying. But you know, they're next to each other. It's not that big a deal. And I do really enjoy that story wise. It kind of shows that you don't need to be evil. You don't even need to necessarily be bad. You just have to have like a strong desire for something to have a palace. Like if you really felt strongly about, I don't know, electric cars, you felt strong enough in some way about electric cars and it affected your personality and everything, you could have a palace. Like I thought that was a lot more interesting, and I do like that she requested it on herself and how it interacted with the rest of the game. I do think it, like story wise, in terms of like everything that's going on in the world, not just the palace and everything, it kind of dips. It kind of dips a little with the Medjed stuff. They kind of just pop up and go away because of Futaba, but and I feel like they only did that so to impose a time limit on you. But it's whatever. I think that's probably the weakest part of this section of the game. But I do think if you're not looking at that, it excels everywhere else. Like it's fine everywhere else. Other than that one part. All right, so next up, Okumura. Okumura, I feel very strongly about his palace. I think story wise, I think story wise is perfectly fine. Everything about it, I think the visuals and everything, like what it means, like how he overworks everything, and how, like and when you're in the palace, they don't even get breaks like that. I think all of that perfectly fine. What I do have a problem with is I do think playing that palace feels horrible. There is no part of that palace I like genuinely enjoy. Like I feel like just going through that palace, it's tedious. It's annoying. And I know that's the point. It's tedious and annoying, and it feels like you're just kind of like dragging yourself through it. None of the puzzles feel good. They're kind of pretty basic. They're pretty much just like, oh, go over here, stop this machine, go across. Just never goes anything beyond that. And at least I don't remember. I don't think it does because I'm trying. It was like grab the key card from the boss, and you just had to do a little mini boss fight. Like I don't know. It's never been engaging enough to me. I really don't like it. Like I really don't like this palace. I think story wise, everything like story themes, blah blah blah, that's all fine. The actual gameplay of the palace, horrible. And don't get me started on that last section with all the rooms. Like I feel like yeah, you could if you just pay attention and take your time, you can figure it out pretty easy. With that being said, on replay, that is probably the most annoying part of the game. Like that is the part of the game that I drop pretty much. Like I'll be playing, I'll blow through all these palaces. I'll get to here and I'm like, okay, I'm done for a little bit, and I'll take a month off. And it's like I might pick at it here and there, but like I really don't enjoy his palace. And with that being said, I think it's C tier. It's not trash, 'cause like I said, the story and everything, villain, everything, perfectly fine. But the palace itself is not fun. It's not very engaging in a way that I care about, and I think it's probably the weakest part of the game. Like if the game started like this, I probably would have never played it fully. But um, if you like this palace, I don't know what to tell you. Get better taste, I guess. But it's probably my least favorite palace, and it's gonna stay that way forever. I think I don't know. It's nothing I can really say about it. Like that I enjoy. Because even on like first playthrough was annoying. Replay is even more annoying because you know it sucked. Like it's just not fun. Because it got cameras and it got I'm pretty sure it got cameras. Yeah, it got cameras and it got the little door switching mechanics, and then you gotta like go through each what's it called? You gotta go through each door. I just hate it. I just hate it. I just hate it. I just hate it. But that's enough of that. I guess I said everything I can say. Um, but next up we have Sai. Sai's Palace. I think hers is really good, and I think I like that it shows that she can change her own heart. Like if you confront them enough, I guess everybody else has been more strong willed or less strong or more strong willed than her. But it's like she kind of lost sight of who she was, and she viewed like the courtroom as a casino that was fixed. I think it was really interesting, especially with how Japan's conviction rate is. It's like 99% or something, which is definitely a problem. Which I could see why they picked a fixed casino because that 1% is basically calculated. Like, but I think as a villain, she's really good. She's not the best, but she's really good as a hmm as a like design wise. I think it's beautiful. Like I love being in the palace. I think story wise, it's really strong, except for the Akechi part. I think that's a little convoluted. But you can say whatever you want to say. I'm not gonna disagree or agree to. I'm not gonna like argue with you on it. And her, everything about like going through collecting the chips and everything. I do think I wish they let you more freely collect the chips instead of having a set route. Like maybe it was multiple games that could get you to your like whatever you need to be. Like instead of maybe just having you do this section, then this section you have your chips. I wish it was more like you could pick and choose. That would have been a lot. Like that would have put this in terms of everything. Well, not everything gameplay at least. It could have put it up in S tier. But I'm gonna have to put the A tier. I think it's severely lacking in that aspect of it, which I think well, they all kind of are. But I think this is the one time it really could have been great. Um, it would have been a lot more interesting. But I think it does everything very well. Just slightly off of being S tier. I think. Like I could honestly see you putting it S tier. Personally, I think it's kind of just missing some. I don't think it's like worthy of it in my opinion. It is a really good palace though, and I think it's worthy of being pretty much a little bit higher if you think it is. Like it, I wouldn't say it's the best palace in the game, but I could see why you would put it there, and I don't know, I think it's pretty fun. I think it's pretty fun. All right, so next up we got Shido, right? Shido probably has. Hmm. Shido has a really good palace. I will say that. I think it's a little long. It feels like it drags out. That's probably my only gripe with it. But I think you could probably do this in 2 sessions pretty easy, maybe like an hour and a half each session, or a little bit fast. You could probably do it a little bit faster, maybe 2 hours total. I think his is a little long, especially even if you know what you're doing or if you don't know what you're doing. I mean, um, as a villain, really good, really interesting. A lot happens during his palace. Akechi, obviously spoilers. Akechi dies and some other stuff. And I think it's kind of interesting to see that he has like enough control over the world where you can't even go outside. And like he's pretty much been involved in like a little bit of everything. Like I think, hmm, I think based off of like him being a villain and everything, he's pretty good. I will say he's pretty good. I don't feel as strongly about him as I feel like I should. But that's probably a me thing. And story wise, really good. And hmm, mechanics wise, I think his was probably one of the more interesting mechanically, simply because you had to be like a rat and everything. But I will say on replay, the novelty is gone. Like it just kind of feels annoying. It's like okay, I'd rather just be done with this. Um, but it's not like the worst thing ever. Like it doesn't take up enough of the game for me to be like, oh yeah, this sucks, or enough of the palace, I should say. So I'll probably put it a little bit above size. I think size is a little bit worse, but like I said, I think you can honestly like this is pretty loose up here. Like you kind of move 'em around as you want. Only ones I probably really argue that shouldn't be up like much higher are these three, and we're about to get to the next palace because I honestly don't think there's much to say like about Shido's palace. Like the design solid, everything about it's just solid. Like it's not exceptional, but it's really solid all around, and I think that's great. But next up, all right. So next up we have Mementos, and it's technically not a palace, but we're gonna treat it like one simply because it's in the tier list, and I also think it's pretty interesting to talk about. Now, Mementos is weird in the sense that you don't go through it the same, right? You kind of just pick at it ideally. and then the final boss, the Holy Grail, the will of the people, blah blah blah. I think thematically it's pretty strong. I think overall it's just a really strong like idea. In terms of gameplay, there's no puzzles or anything, which actually helps it in my opinion. Not in terms of like it's definitely not S tier, but I do think because you're supposed to be going through it the entire time and it is so long, I think that helps it because like if you were to replay the game, it's not that annoying if you know what you're doing. Like if you got Ryuji's skill, you can kind of just run through it. It's like free levels at that point too, but I do think it's annoying in the sense that you have to do it to progress the game to get to the last semester or even beat it, and that kind of sucks. And as a palace, it's honestly kind of just whatever. But simply off the fact, I think it like I would rather go through all of Mementos at the same stage of the game as this. Like I would rather just push through all of Memento. I would have to put it like right here. Now, actually no, that's a bit generous. I had to put it like right here. It's not bad by any means, but it's like kind of bare minimum everything. It's pretty much just a slightly worse Tartarus. Well, at least from Persona, well, from Reload. Like I couldn't speak on Portable or anything, but like it's just a worse Tartarus in my opinion. Like I don't know. It's not much else I can really say about it. All right, last but not least, probably my. I wouldn't say it's my favorite palace. I'll talk about that at the end. I wouldn't say it's my favorite palace, but it is a really darn good one. And I think like if I had to be objective about how I feel about every single palace in the game and like really give you my honest thoughts, I think it's the best palace in the game. Marquis Palace is really good. I think story wise it's really good. Thematically it's amazing. Design wise it's pretty solid. I wouldn't necessarily call him a villain, more like antagonist. He was really interesting because he wasn't necessarily as problematic as anybody on this list except for Futaba. Like Futaba was less problematic than him. But hmm. he it's like they just put everything they learned from I would at least say like the top palaces and put it together really well. Like and I even feel like they did a better version of the door gimmick with the bridges at the end. Like that was a way better like way better puzzle like overall than Okumura. And like I said, that was my least favorite part. So for them to make me enjoy that to some degree, like it's a bit annoying. But if you just pay attention, you just fiddle with it a bit. Like you'll get through it. Um, I don't know. It's not much I can say. Like everything about it's great. Like everything about it's really good. I love replaying it. The only thing that sucks is at the end of the game. Like for me to replay it, I had to beat all of these, and I consider them all slightly worse. But I don't think anything touches the D tier simply because I feel like the only way for someone to touch the D tier in this game, it had to be like this as a palette, like this as a palace, but only the bad parts, and then that'd be D. But he even has some like redeeming qualities because good stories, all that. But with that being said, that is the tier list. It's nothing crazy. I don't think it's anything crazy. I think it's a solid tier list. I think if you agree or disagree, I don't really care too much. If you do disagree, let me know what you disagree with in the comments. I am interested to see, but that is all for now. I'm going to go make a few more of these videos, and I will see y'all later. Please like and subscribe.